documenting that, you know, the
I
document
took
that
the
you
Hippocratic Oath.
taken a Hippocratic oath, so I think it's been more of a tradition than anything, certainly written in stone, so
Mhm.
I'm sure of some program somewhere opted not to do that.
Yeah, I do think it's more of a tradition than it
Yeah.
is a rule. But it is a tradition, long-standing. 2, we should not allow the elderly and the infirm to be pressured to consent to their own death by assisted suicide or euthanasia. 3, we should protect the poor and minorities from exploitation. Pain is a significant factor in the desire for physician-assisted suicide. The poor and the minorities often do not have resources for the alleviation of pain. We should protect all people with disabilities from societal indifference, antipathy, and any bias against them. We should never present suicide as a socially acceptable solution to the difficulties of life. So the Pontifical Academy for Life, 1999. With absolute conviction, we vigorously reject any kind of euthanasia, understood as recourse to those actions or omissions which are intended to cause a person's death in order to prevent suffering and pain. This world doesn't like suffering and pain at all. Well, this world doesn't like the cross either, okay? The world doesn't like the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. It's too bloody, too difficult, so I'm not going to deal with it. People don't like the spiritual concept of sharing in the suffering of Jesus Christ. People don't like the idea that, many people don't like the idea of the concept of purgatory, offering up our sufferings for souls in purgatory. Many Catholics, it just amazes me, don't even offer up their sufferings anymore for souls in purgatory. It's like, you know, I always say to people when, you know, they're suffering greatly, I said, every single ounce of suffering that you go through, offer it for poor souls in purgatory, and you will liberate many souls to see the holy face of God. The last paragraph down there, greater efforts are being made today to provide patients whose medical conditions cause great pain with medications or treatments that relieve their sufferings. People are being encouraged to use advanced directives to make sure that their medical treatment in the end of life care is both humane and in conformity to the moral teachings of Christ and the Church. And finally, the next page. The Church obviously wants to be with people who suffer. The Church wants to accompany the dying person to the process of a holy death, the sacrament of the anointing of the sick, to give them communion at the end of their life, known as viaticum, and also for praying with those who are in the dying stage as well. The Church is very aware of our ministry to those who are dying and actively in the process of returning to the Lord. Okay, any questions? Yes, Teresa.
What does the church say about, say if you're watching someone they're about to commit suicide and you successfully stop them, are we supposed to stop them if we're the only one who can? What does the church say? Okay. So
Absolutely.
further, how would you tell Catholics to handle the fact that sometimes in our society people have done stuff like that and then the person who's saved has gone around and sued them and really ruined the person's life who has saved their life?
Can you say it again?
So, for example, one time in the news, this was a long time ago that I read this, and I'm sure it probably happens more and we just don't know it. someone saved someone's life and the person got upset and sued them because they said that they wanted to die and they
Mhm.
were stopped from dying.
Life is a chance all around,
Yeah.
isn't it? But the reality is you did what your moral conscience requires you to do. If that means that civic government is going to put you in prison, then so be it. You are defending life. You are being what many Catholics have done through the centuries, and that is subject of an unjust government because they don't understand the principles of our Catholic life.
There's a Good Samaritan law that actually protects the person who tried to help the other person, so.
Okay, any other questions? Very good. We are breaking until 8:30, okay? And after that, we're going back and look at the discussion questions, the direction of the kids, so we can point out weekly meeting, good questions, but good questions are already here. So we'll take a break, 20 minutes, and